if you stay up past midnight, did you have a late night or an early morning? To me, it's a late night. I don't think you hit early morning till 4 a.m.
4 a.m.?
4 a.m. to me is
that your
the
cutoff?
threshold.
4 a.m., I mean, that's when the party starts. Let's be honest.
Not for me.
What time are you going to sleep these days, Blaine?
Well, man, you know I'm not up past 9:30.
Blaine's playing Kyler Murray on Call of Duty till like 2:30.
He said he
With Kyler Murray, that'd be dope. I'd definitely do that.
he said he went to sleep at 2:30 the other day.
Yeah.
Got up at 4 for the show.
I can't do it. I've moved on past that part of my life.
I mean, I just you know, you dive into the depths of YouTube and you really find things that I've probably watched highlights from probably every game from college last weekend. You know, they got the 6-minute highlights from each game. You just go through.
Why don't they have a red zone for college football? Is it just because there's too many games?
To start it.
There's too many games in TV rights. I think that's why. I mean, think about all the games that come on in those slates. It's not like the NFL. I mean, you have an unbelievable amount of teams in Division I compared to the NFL from Power 5 and Group of 5. But imagine if you did that. What if there was just a Power 5 conference red zone? Should we start that?
Yeah.
What should we call it?
The Power 5 Conference Red Zone.
I don't think it's long enough.
I think it needs to be longer than that.
Yeah, I think so.
It needs to be longer than that. Like
the Power 5 Conference Red Zone for teams and players that play good.
Yeah. See, now you're getting into the depths of what goes on at 2+ in the morning.
I'm just trying to think of some cool name.
Takes time.
The dorm room. Or something.
Maybe.
You know,
Maybe.
Yeah.
maybe. No,
That's on the list.
Y'all can don't just nod.
We'll
to
put that on
agree.
the list.
No, I actually like your 35-word title better.
I think it's better.
What were we talking about?
What
What were we talking about that baseball segment where you're trying to name it like the longest segment ever? It'd be like, this is our Major League Baseball. Hey, we're finally to the playoffs after a 375-game regular season segment of fun, friendship, and life.
I think it'd work. I think that'd be great.
I think it would work too. That'd be fun to write down. Texas and Oklahoma face off in the Red River Shootout. Tom Luginbill joins us to preview everything college football week 6, and we're going to break down the keys to victory in tonight's Colts versus Broncos game. It's a battle of horses. I'm Jake Crane. Welcome to Crane & Company. Usually, when Oklahoma and Texas duke it out in the Red River Shootout, there are national implications on the line. However, this Saturday, both teams come into this game unranked for the first time since 1998, and the Big 12's most important matchup is taking place in Lawrence, Kansas, where the undefeated Jayhawks host number 17 TCU. Yes, that is actually really happening. You aren't dreaming and you're not in a coma or asleep. Now, even though neither team is ranked, this is a fantastic rivalry, and either fan base would gladly take home the bragging rights this year. Now, we're going to break this game down from every aspect a little bit later and tomorrow. That isn't what I'm here to talk about right now. Today, I want to forewarn Texas and Oklahoma fans about what they will face when they join the college football superpower that is the SEC. Now, both of these teams have bright futures regardless of what the knee-jerk reactionists or Monday morning shock jocks want to tell you. But don't expect immediate success right when you enter the conference. The common misconception out there is that the SEC is top-heavy, and it's really only about getting past Bama and Georgia. If it were only that easy. The truth is, the hardest part about being in the SEC is the gauntlet you have to go through week in and week out outside of Vanderbilt, even though Clark Lee has done a pretty good job so far, and don't be surprised if Vandy becomes sneaky at some point. Now, before you exhale deeply in disagreement, remember this. Oklahoma and Texas are struggling somewhat with mediocre Big 12 teams already. And that isn't to say the Big 12 isn't a good conference. You could actually make the case they may be the second best conference this year, but you're going to play in more hostile environments against more NFL players weekly in the SEC. If you don't believe me, let's just look at the draft. The SEC has led the NFL draft in the amount of players taken for 16 straight years. Since 2010, the SEC has doubled the amount of first-round draft picks than the second closest conference. They've doubled it. 7 different teams had a player drafted in the first round in 2022. And this past draft marked the 8th straight year for the Southeastern Conference to see 50 or more players taken in the NFL draft. To put that in perspective, only twice in the last 27 years has another conference outside of the SEC seen 50 or more players drafted. Now, for some reason that doesn't win you over, let's look at national championships. Since 2003, the SEC has won 13 of the last 19 natties, and that spans over 5 different SEC teams. Kind of kills the top-heavy argument. Now, is the SEC perfect every week? No. Are they consistently better than every other conference out there? No doubt. The last argument people go to is, hey, Missouri made the SEC championship game twice in the first 5 years. And they did. But the league is very different now. Just look at Georgia. And when they got there, they lost by a combined score of 101 to 55. That was more of an anomaly than anything else. Now, Oklahoma and Texas will end up being fine once they get used to how things roll, and they'll be great additions to an already juggernaut conference. And unless there is just implicit bias in every scouting department on every NFL team and also in national championships, which there isn't, the SEC is still king for right now. And this will not be a walk in the park early for either team. I'm going to bring in David Cohn, my brother Blaine as well. And listen, you can say SEC homer, this, that, and that. I don't think it's a stretch. When you look at the draft and you look at who's actually won national championships for a long time, for a while, I could go back to 98 and it could be even worse with Tennessee winning it. That would be the 6th SEC team. It's really, in my opinion, not even an argument, David.
Yeah, no, I don't think you have to know that much about college football to understand that the SEC has been the dominant conference. And I don't know which Texas and Oklahoma fans are the ones saying that we're going to come into the SEC and dominate the conference right away.
Probably about 65%.
I don't think that's right. They don't know that much about football then. If that's
well, again, think about fans short for fanatical. I don't blame. I would not. I'd be the same way. I'd be confident in my team joining the conference. But there's a difference.
Joining the conference is different than coming in and dominating.
That's exactly right. But, you know, fans are going to be fans.
Like, I'm not seeing that necessarily, but maybe there are some out there. I will say, though, I don't see Texas and Oklahoma struggling with mediocre Big 12 teams right now. I mean,
Texas Tech?
No, I mean, Texas Tech, when you look at TCU and Kansas State specifically, but even Texas Tech, I don't think it's just an automatic that those teams would come in and lose to Arkansas right now, or South Carolina, or Kentucky, or Auburn right now. I mean, I think that those will be good football games. I think Kansas State could come in and beat a good bit of the SEC.
Kansas State, I'm not talking about Kansas. I had Kansas State going 7-2.
TCU. I mean, I think TCU can come in right now and play with a lot of the SEC teams. So, you know, while we look at some of the teams in every conference, you can point out and say you're the weak link in this conference, and obviously there are going to be better teams and worse teams in every single conference. I look at the Big 12 right now, and I'm as excited about that conference as any in the country right now.
Yeah, well, it's kind of new for the Big 12 too, especially changing to be a defensive conference, and where they were last year at this point. You know, a lot of people were writing the Big 12 off, kind of like they're doing the Pac-12. But again, when you bring up, I don't think that TCU would have a problem playing an Arkansas team right now. Yes, in one game. That's not my argument. I think we get caught up sometimes in the, oh, well, this team would play this team in one game. It's about getting to week 7 where you've had to play Arkansas, LSU, Tennessee. When you look at depth of conference and the amount of NFL players and the speed, I think if Texas Tech came over to the SEC, they may win 2 SEC games in an SEC slate. When you look
how many Big 12 games would Auburn win right now if you had to play Baylor and Oklahoma State and Kansas State?
Oh, well, if you take any team from the bottom of the conference and compare them to the team that's on the top of another conference.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about
you just took Auburn and compared them to Baylor. So if Auburn,
I'm saying
I think
Baylor
Auburn would be. I think Auburn could beat Texas Tech
and TCU and Kansas State. That's 6 different teams.
Okay, so name the top 5 teams in the Big 12 right now.
I just did.
Yeah. Okay, so you're comparing them to maybe the second worst team in the SEC. I see. I would say.
We'll take another one. How many is LSU beating right now?
Oh, I think LSU beats Texas Tech. I think LSU has a good chance.
Is LSU beating
State.
Oklahoma? Is LSU beating Oklahoma State, Baylor, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and Texas all back to back?
I never would say that. That's not what I'm saying.
That'd be a tough slate.
So what you're telling me, you think it's easy to go through a Big 12 schedule than it is an SEC schedule, right?
You know that's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying?
What I'm saying is the Big 12 is very good right now. It's fun to watch football.
Nobody's arguing that.
I'm not saying that Texas and Oklahoma fans think they're just going to come in and dominate the SEC right this second.
Well, I promise you, if you poll Texas and Oklahoma, number one, Texas thinks they're going to win the national championship every year.
That much
like that.
That is
and Oklahoma, in my opinion, if any team has earned the right to think they're going to come in and have success early, and I'm not saying you're going to come in and go 6-6, but I think you're looking at an 8-4. I think 9-3 is probably the ceiling. But if outside of Oklahoma, Texas, I know Oklahoma has a new coach and Lincoln's in USC, but if any team has the right to come in and think they're going to have a chance early, it's Oklahoma. But again, you got to look at recruiting down the road. Texas is going to have Arch Manning. Like I said, they already think they're the best team. But per capita, per team, going through that schedule, if you're losing at Texas Tech, it's going to be tough when you've gone to Arkansas, to Tennessee, then play LSU at home, then play Kentucky. Ole Miss, the top 10 team right now. Kentucky just got out of the top 10. Auburn will be back eventually. It's just a matter of time. Football is cyclical anyway. But you see in it, and it was more maybe when it was announced than right now, just because we're in the meat of this season and it's kind of pushed to the back. But in general, I think the confidence level from Texas and Oklahoma fans is probably pretty high going to the SEC. And it's I get more upset at the common misconception of, oh, it's Alabama and Georgia and everybody else. That's really more of the argument. It's not just the Big 12. I think it's everywhere.
Maybe Texas A&M joining the conference has led to this, because Texas A&M was one of those rivals for not only Texas but Oklahoma too. You know, and maybe Texas A&M joining the conference is sort of. I think Oklahoma and Texas have kind of looked over and said, well, you know, they got Jimbo Fisher, they have all this money, they joined the SEC, they're getting top 5 recruiting classes, like maybe we can come in and do better than what Texas A&M and Missouri, because those teams were from, you know, geographically the same location when they came into the SEC. Maybe that's what they're seeing a little bit more than, I mean, yeah, you don't want to go play in the swamp and go play in Tuscaloosa and go play on the plains back to back to back to back, you know?
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to watch.
I just feel like obviously the stretches in the SEC are going to be somewhat tougher than the stretches in the Big 12, but right now the stretches in the Big 12 are pretty tough. I mean, you look, I just look at that Texas Tech team, and Texas Tech to me is a very underrated football team. And if you've watched them play 4 quarters of the game, one of their quarterbacks phenomenal. Their defense is somewhat okay. I mean, they just got off a 4-game straight where they played actually 5-game. They played ranked opponent Houston, and I know Houston was a huge letdown this year, but they played them week 2, won by 3. You went to NC State and lost. All right, by 10. Then you played Texas at home and won. Then you went to Kansas State and lost. And this week you're going to Oklahoma State. So I feel like Texas Tech right now, you walk out of this thing 4-2, you're feeling great about a lot of things. You're facing 6 ranked opponents in a row. But I think the second conference, the deepest conference, has to be the Big 12. Obviously, if you look at the SEC right now, it's deeper. But I feel like Auburn this year, it's kind of different to talk about Auburn. We haven't seen Auburn this bad in a long time. Yeah. Usually Auburn's somewhat in the middle of this conference. I mean, unless you go back to, what was it, 2000 and whenever they won 3 games. I mean, 2012 when they won 3 games. So you usually don't see that. But the bottom of the SEC, I mean, Vanderbilt's getting better, right? Then we go look at Missouri. Hell, Missouri just almost beat Georgia at home. So it's not like you're going to walk in. There's a couple teams in the Big 12 right now. West Virginia doesn't look good at all. I mean, but the biggest Iowa State doesn't look good at all. Hell, Oklahoma without Dylan Gabriel is not the same team, and it's not even close. But I still think if there's one team out of these 2 teams, I still think Texas right now could come in the SEC and compete with Quinn at quarterback. All right, the defense can be somewhat a bend, but don't break defense in the SEC. With Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the nation.
He's going to be gone.
Okay, yeah, true. But I'm saying right now. So I say if they were to come in there right now, Texas could compete. And I think their ceiling would be maybe a 9-3, 10-2 year. But, I mean, we watched them at home. I know it's a one-off, but we watched them at home with a fully healthy Alabama team. And they lost by, what, 1? So but I still think they have the depth with Sark and Arch Manning coming in a couple years. They'll be more ready to compete more than Oklahoma, because I still think Oklahoma's biggest downfall right now is defense, especially athletes on that defense. You want to talk about week in and week out. You're not going to survive unless you have depth and somewhat athletic guys on defense, and Oklahoma doesn't have it.
I want to be careful when we look at that Alabama-Texas game and use that as a barometer for a couple reasons. I know you said they're healthy, but you're down Tyler Harrell, who's your deep threat you were counting on from Louisville. JoJo Earl was out, who's your most experienced receiver. And you played probably one of the worst games of the Nick Saban era. It was the most penalized game Alabama has ever had under Saban, and that was before the fourth quarter started. You went on the road, and you still won that game. You played one of your worst games, and you still won that game at the end. So I think we got to be careful there. When you say compete, I'm not saying that they won't compete. I'm not saying they're going to come in and be a doormat and go, 3-9. Or something, or something absolutely nuts, or 4-8, something like that. What I'm saying is, do not expect Oklahoma or Texas to play in an SEC championship game for at least the first 3 years. That's really my whole point. Because I don't think, again, the team that, and I'm with you, with Texas, the way they recruit. But Texas has been recruiting really well. They're going to be fine under Sark. Oklahoma will always recruit well. I think the people that are freaking out about Venables early need to give him a chance because you brought it up and we've talked about it. The team speed at linebacker and in the secondary for Oklahoma. And I could say the same thing right now about Arkansas. When you look at the attrition they've had, now Catalan's out, Slusher's been in and out a little bit. They basically had me at safety against Alabama. That's why they got out of man really early because Bam was just running by him on verticals and corners. And that's something Arkansas's got to fix. But it's going to be really fun to watch, and they're going to be great additions. And I believe 2 of the national championships that wasn't won by the SEC out of the 13 or 19 was won by Texas and Oklahoma. So you're adding 2 more teams. So really, after this year, you can say, what, 15 out of 19, or whenever they add 15 out of 20, something like that?
Well, you can't take credit for the championships that...
I'm talking about going forward. Like moving forward, you're adding 2 teams that have won a national championship already to the conference. So whenever we move to the super conferences that are going to fight the Klingons for interstellar domination, that's just going to be 2 more that go in the SEC. But I don't think we're gonna see moving in the SEC for a while.
Well, yeah, I know we're not going to use this Texas game as a barometer, and I know Alabama made a lot of mistakes. They're missing guys, but Texas was also missing their starting quarterback. And still, at the end of the day, only lost by 1.
Well, Alabama's going to get everyone's best shot, too.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the Alabama game. You know, everyone's going to get up for Alabama. I'm more interested to see, like right now, I'd be interested to see what Texas and Oklahoma are doing against those teams that I listed. You know, what, like I want to see Kentucky go on the road and how would they play them? How would a team like Ole Miss go play them right
Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Tennessee like or even like a Florida team, you know, not the top of the barrel, but not the bottom either. Some of those mid-tier teams against what we're talking about in the Big 12, because when you've seen Oklahoma State and Baylor come on strong and even Kansas State, what they're doing right now, I'd love to see those mid-tier matchups between the conferences, like right this second. You know, not a one-off bowl game where we have some people opting out, but in the middle of the season.
Yeah, Kansas and Ole Miss would be a great watch. Let's go to Malcolm Martin with a $4.99 donation. Malcolm, what is up, my guy? He says, if UGA and Bama go undefeated up to the SEC championship, is it a lose-lose for them to play in the championship in terms of playoff implications?
It's, all right, this is like the biggest hypothetical, but it's something we have to talk about. It really, to answer that question, you have to look outside the SEC. I have a hard time not seeing Clemson going undefeated. I really think Clemson doesn't lose a game in the ACC, especially the way DJU's playing, so you got to pencil them in. You have to pencil in a team from the Big Ten East. I think you do. Whether that's Ohio State, whether that's Michigan, or hell, even right now, whether that's Penn State, you're going to get one there. Then you look out west, and really, who are you looking at? USC. I don't think a one-loss Pac-12 champion gets in over a one-loss Alabama or Georgia the way the rankings are right now, especially if, you know, USC loses, you know, one of the couple big games that they play. I don't see that. So if you pencil in Clemson and you pencil in a team from the Big Ten East, like I said, whether that be one of the 3 I listed, Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State, then that leaves not a lot of room for error, which means you basically have to go undefeated. Because, Cohen, we were talking about this the other day. If you're an undefeated Pac-12 team champion, you're getting in over a one-loss SEC team. It's just who's going to go in. And that's exactly the way it should be. But I just have a hard time seeing a Pac-12 team going undefeated. Blaine, let's pull up, because USC is the only one, right? Unless I'm just absolutely missing something.
Unbeaten right now.
UCLA's unbeaten. I do think that...
And both of them are joining the Big Ten.
Both of them are joining, I know, but before we even get that, and they're going to play each other. So one of those teams will lose. Blaine, can we pull up USC's schedule real quick? I just want to see it again. I know we've talked about it. I know they played at Oregon State. I know they got UCLA down the road. Let's just run through that, because that's what...
All right. All right, this weekend they have Washington State at home.
That's not a walk in the park with Washington State.
Then you go to Utah. Then you go to Arizona. You got Cal at home, Colorado at home. You go to UCLA. Then you have Notre Dame at home. It sounds like there's a drop in there.
There's a drop in there somewhere. Right? Yeah. It's like a good rap song. When's it gonna drop? There's a drop in there somewhere.
All right, let's go to Matt Skinny Jeans. All right, $5 donation. Yes. He says Texas and Oklahoma are joining the SEC. He says you better tighten up that chin strap.
Yeah, and look, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's just, and everybody that's like, oh no, we're gonna lose some of these rivalry games. Like maybe LSU's not gonna play Arkansas every year. And look, I get it. That's a big game. Games, guys, tradition. But you're getting Texas to Texas A&M, Oklahoma to Texas A&M. I mean, you look at some of the matchups gonna create Oklahoma, LSU. It's gonna create more good matchups than we're gonna lose. So whenever somebody says that, I'm like, you know, pump the brakes on that a little bit. I'm all about nostalgia, but we're going to create not only some rivalries that were in the past that are getting revived, you're going to create some new rivalries. I mean, you remember Florida, Oklahoma? Like, number one, back in the day, that was a heavyweight title fight. It's just, I'm super jacked and tan about it.
Yeah,
All right.
awesome.
Emmanuel C. says OU needs to get their stuff together because Texas will blow right by them in recruiting in the SEC.
You know, Oklahoma's going to be fine in recruiting with Brent Venables. Texas, we know with the cachet and the money and the resource and all that stuff. But people, I think, are really sleep on Brent Venables at your own risk. He has a couple bad games in his first year. And remember, they were decimated by the portal, not just on offense, but as a whole team. He's going to get defensive players in there that can run. They lack speed at linebacker in the secondary right now. That is not going to be the case for long at Oklahoma with the transfer portal and the free-for-all that we're seeing. I'm just saying, sleep on Oklahoma at your own risk, because next year when you see them and they're running around and knocking people out and they look a little bit like Clemson on defense and they're running guys down and they can play two-man and be fine, or when a running back breaks the first level, he doesn't look like the fastest man on the planet because they actually have other guys that can run. I'm just saying, be easy on the Brent Venables stuff, because it could come back to haunt you, because Oklahoma has a way of being able to turn things around pretty quickly.
All right, let's go to Malcolm Martin. I like this question. So, who's the fourth best team in each of those conferences, placed in the SEC? How do you think they would do?
The fourth best team in each one of those conferences?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the Big 12 right now. You could say a couple teams. I mean, I think you're looking anywhere from 9-3 to 7-5. I mean, the Pac-12's a little. Every conference isn't created the same. I think if you look at out there at the Pac-12, if you were to say the fourth best team, Cone, if you went
It's
USC,
Utah, right? Well,
Utah,
right now.
Oregon, I don't think Utah's the fourth best team in the Pac-12. They may end up being the best team when it's all said and done.
You're looking at either Washington or UCLA.
UCLA,
right now.
somebody like that, and I think they'd come in and I think 8-4. Somewhere around there.
I think so.
Washington abandoned the run too early against UCLA. They panicked, and I know Kalen DeBoer, they want to throw it around and mix it up, but they were gashing UCLA a little bit in the run. UCLA scored a couple touchdowns. Washington got down, and they pulled a Jody Foster and just panicked in front of everybody.
That's why I think the Big 12 is deeper right now. Because if you look at even the fourth best team in the Big 10 right now, who would you say? Would you even say Maryland?
I mean, you outside of,
Like, if you take out
can't say
Michigan and
Minnesota
Ohio
right
and
now
Penn
after
State,
that loss.
I mean, after that big loss, obviously Wisconsin has been a complete letdown, as has Iowa. I mean, really, you could say, like, Illinois has been playing better and better, and three of those teams over there have like three of the top five
Is
defenses
it Illinois,
statistically.
Is Illinois the fourth
Possibly,
best team in the
but I'm
Big Ten?
looking at the way Maryland's playing and what
Yeah.
Mike Loxley's doing over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, this team is for real. You
Well,
know?
Maryland's actually tackling people on defense.
It's not Michigan State
Yeah.
right now.
No, it's
Can't
not
say
at all.
Michigan State. So when I look at, like, I can name 6 or 7 teams in the Big 12 right now that I think could be more.
Yeah,
competitive.
and I think you have a lot of teams that are similar in the Big 12 in the way that they operate. I mean, which is such a weird use of the Big 12 kind of, Harlem Globetrotter. Let's throw it out there. It's, you're winning games 51-48, taking advantage of space, where there's grass, I'll burn your ass type of stuff like that. Yeah, Baylor is similar to Oklahoma State. When you kind of look at the top tier of that conference, I would say actually Kansas State similar to both those teams. I mean, it's more of a ground and pound, run the ball, play defense, play action, take shots. I mean, Kansas is a little bit more wide open with Jalen Daniels, the way they operate with all the RPOs and getting the ball out. But it's a very compact conference, and I think that's what's made the Big 12 the most intriguing conference this year, kind of coming back from the dead after last year. But you have a lot of teams. It's like a jumbled team. Oklahoma, is there an elite team, though, in the Big 12? I think that may be a better question. Do you have a bunch of pretty good teams without an elite team?
Right now I'm looking around. I'm like, where is there an elite team? Back-to-back for Georgia now has not been pretty. Their last 2 games, and that's why when we're talking about the playoff matchup right now, it's very exciting because you've seen the last 2 weeks for Georgia have been less than stellar after the first couple weeks. Just they look phenomenal. Right now, Alabama's Heisman Trophy winning quarterback is hurt. We don't know really for how long. That's why I told Big Game Boomer, I think you could put the Buckeyes at #1 right now.
I don't think that's crazy to say.
Like, that is not crazy to
I don't think that's crazy to say at all.
And when we're talking about the 4th best teams in the conference, might as well do the ACC right now. Like, who's the 4th best team in the ACC? It could possibly be Syracuse.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's wild right now.
Well, and this year's such an interesting year to look at it because we've had a ton of parity, and you have had some of those the top tier teams struggle. I just know at the end, and I think you do too, with the amount of talent that those teams have, and getting the receivers back for Bama is going to be huge. Obviously, Bryce getting back is huge as well.
They've done it.
And they've done it. They've time and
There's
time
something
again.
to say,
yeah.
late in those close games when you are banged up,
Yep.
right, and you are on the road, you're being coached by Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or Ryan Day. You know, like those guys have proven that they can do it late in the season.
Very true. Very true. All right, one more, Blaine, and then let's get to
All right, Jackman Fraley with the $4.99 donation. He says, Notre Dame fan here. He says, what bandwagon should I be on to make Saturdays more interesting? Also, Irish will beat USC. It's just what we do. I don't know about this year, bud.
Well, you know, I'm interested to see how Marcus does with the Notre Dame team going forward. We all know about that schedule. You know, bandwagon right now, why not hop on the Kansas one? Well, why not? All aboard, right? All aboard. You're a 7-point dog at home against TCU. I'm going to say something about TCU, though. I know Sonny Dykes is there, new regime, new phone, who dis. I get all that. But TCU always beats somebody up like that once a year and then looks inept in like 2 games. Kansas has found a way to win. You know what? You click your heels twice together and hope, follow the yellow brick road all the way to Coach Leipold's house. And that's a great segue in the college football quick hitch there, Cone.
It's like Mississippi State does that too.
It's unbelievable. It's like clockwork. Regardless who's there, like it's going to happen at some point. It's just, who's it going to happen against? I don't think it's crazy to take Kansas money line this week.
No, I mean, I thought you could join the Auburn bandwagon, too. It's broken down.
You don't want to do it right now.
It's broken down and on fire. Come on, just one person on there. Make it 2.
It's like the part of the Oregon Trail where you had to start over because, you know, I just used to hunt the whole time. They're like, oh, you lost the Oregon Trail because you had too much meat. I was like, when the hell did that ever happen?
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. You know what? How about we eat some of it and then get back in the wagon? We don't have to put it all in the wagon. Let's think here. Let's evolve as a group.
I love it.
Well, while we're talking about Kansas, we have Lance Leopold up here.
Yep.
A lot of people are saying he would be a good fit for the Nebraska job right now.
Yeah, you're here in Nebraska. You've heard Wisconsin because he coached at Wisconsin Whitewater. He's got connections up there. Here's my thing. I think Nebraska, if he was going to leave, is way more likely than Wisconsin because Jim Leonard's going to be the guy at Wisconsin. Let's go ahead and pencil that in. That's the main reason they fired Chris. Because if you look at Chris' overall record, it's pretty good. I know the trajectory's been going down, and Illinois just went there and beat him at their own game. But if I'm Lance Leipold, why would I ever leave Kansas? Why would I ever leave Kansas? You want to talk about a hero? You think Superman's a hero? You think Batman's a hero? You think Spider-Man's a hero? No, not even close. What this man has done at Kansas is heroic, okay? If they were going to put another guy on Mount Rushmore, probably needs to be him. Like I said on the show the other day, if I'm the governor of Kansas, guess what, Coach? You're not paying taxes again here in the state. You want to stay here? No more taxes. Free Whataburger for life or a restaurant of your choice.
Whataburgers again?
You tell me what you need. Because what he's doing at Kansas, I've only seen, and I'm going to see it for the rest of the year, but there's only one coaching job I've seen that's better than this. James Franklin
at Vanderbilt,
winning 9 games twice at Vanderbilt was absolute witchcraft and wizardry. But right now, Kansas could lose every game for the rest of the season. It's still a huge win. You're seeing the momentum get picked up by Kansas. But right now, I'm staying, and I'm becoming a hero. I know what they say.
I feel a list is coming on.
I know what they say. I know what they say. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. But you know what? In this case, Lance, I don't think you could ever become the villain because you have taken Kansas like a phoenix and have a rose in it, or it has arisen from the ashes. I don't think erosion's a word.
You remember the list we used to do?
It is now.
Yeah, you remember the list we used to do?
Yeah.
No, I miss those. I was thinking, what if he did one best coaching jobs of all time? I know James Franklin's going to be at the top.
Steve Spurrier won 33 games in 3 years at South Carolina.
I mean, maybe it's a real thing. I was talking with my buddies the other day about the best Netflix series, and it's impossible to do. And I knew we did that on the show. So I was thinking,
well, yeah, it's Breaking Bad, but
yeah, it's Breaking Bad, but maybe Dexter next. Then
I like that.
Then you go to How I Met Your Mother, then Narcos.
Netflix?
Well, yeah, it was on Netflix. It was on Netflix. It wasn't like Netflix original.
It wasn't
like a Netflix original, no.
But like a series in general.
Oh, you just meant on there. So what do we think the true ceiling for Kansas is? You know, like when you're talking about Sam Pittman should be like a lifer at Arkansas, I get that, right? You know, because he's like an Arkansas guy, and we know that the ceiling could be really high. What Lance Leopold has done at Kansas is phenomenal. But what's the true ceiling? Like, couldn't he go somewhere and get even better recruits, say, at Nebraska?
Yeah, I think he could at a place that's more traditional. But, I mean, you know, look at Nebraska right now. Kansas with this resurgence. I mean, is Nebraska really recruiting better than Kansas after this year?
No, that's what I'm saying. But could he go and recruit better?
Oh, he could, I think. Yeah. I think it may take a little more time. And I know Nebraska's more of a traditional brand name power. But, you know, it's one thing to go and carry on a tradition somewhere. It's another to be the guy they build the tradition on. I think Lance Leipold has a chance to be the guy that 75 years from now, Kansas fans look back and go, that's the guy that turned it around. You're the hero forever. You're the one that started it. And look, it's when I try and put it's interesting, and this is fascinating to me, trying to put a ceiling on a team like Kansas, because we really don't know how good can Kansas be in football. We saw him with Mark Mangino go to an Orange Bowl and have success. Could we see Kansas being a 7, 8, maybe 9-win team
with
every
Texas
year?
and Oklahoma
with Texas
leaving?
and Oklahoma leaving. You add that to the basketball program that we know is huge with Bill Self there. There is some growth potential. I would buy the stock now while it's still somewhat low for Kansas, because it's going to start going to the
Next 5 years, does Kansas win a Big 12 championship?
Let me think on that.
We'll see if he stays.
Let's see if he stays. Let's see if he stays before we do that.
Sorry,
Let's
guys.
see if he stays.
Our buddy Mike Leach
Yes.
gave our other friend Alyssa Lang some marriage advice.
Yeah, let's just play this, because Mike Leach, we all know he is basically a walking chicken noodle soup for the soul. Let's go and play this.
But as soon as the season's over, or even an off week, go elope. Trust me on that. Go elope. Because basically every female in the family is going to terrorize you guys until it's over. Once it's over, I mean, they'll be upset for a few days, but it'll be over. And then, you know, you cruise along, have a happy marriage, have a happy life.
I'll pass along the message. Thanks, Coach. Congrats on the win.
Trevor, unless he's crazy, is totally on my side. And trust me on this. If Trevor doesn't have the sense to do that, tell him to call me, because, I mean, he needs to do I've told all my kids, I'll give you $10,000 extra if you elope. So far, they haven't done it, but I would, too.
I'll have him call you.
Look, number one, Mike Leach
The
is
coolest
a
guy I know.
national treasure.
National
Must be
treasure.
protected at all costs. That's right after a huge win for Mississippi State at home, which I'm sure he's probably already moved on to the next one. As somebody, and he's talking about marriage, as somebody that's getting ready to get married in May, I totally 100% understand what he's saying.
You understand it, but are you going to follow his advice?
No, of eloping?
Yeah.
No, that's hard. We're already too fast. Like we're too above board. Reed would not be cool with that. But he is correct. The females in the family, they're just, my job, like I said, was I wanted to have one really good idea for the wedding. That's it. That's all you're asking me. Okay? I'm a guy that comes in there, you know, one play, let's run the trick play with this guy and see, oh, wow, he's the guy that runs forward too. Let's get him in there, run a vertical and see what happens, all right? I'm not in there running the whole offense the whole time, all right? I'm kind of more of a gadget player. So I came in there, my one idea.
Deebo Samuel.
Instead of, well, Deebo, you know, as a guy who has him on his fantasy team, he does a lot. But I will say, when we went down and we were planning the wedding, I did have a really legit idea. You know, you have like the groom's cake and then like the bride's cake. Well, instead of the groom's cake, I was like, you know what? How about we get like a little ice cream bar up in here? Like an old school ice cream cart, and some mint chocolate chip, some chocolate, some vanilla, you know, mix it up, but also be normal and casual. And they thought it was just a fantastic idea. So after I had that idea, I was like, look, guys, I'm shutting down the studio. All right, no more questions about the wedding. You guys, anything else? What color napkins? Y'all got it. Oh, wow, why am I not contributing? Because I've already given the best idea probably of the whole wedding.
Man, talk about quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, it's exactly.
That's one of those ice cream things. It was like it's a cold table and they chop it up. It's like
Well,
strawberry.
no, it comes there like pre-made. It's like one of those old school ice cream carts. Like, again, it's like, oh, I just came in for one play, scored an 80-yard touchdown, and turned my ankle. I'm out for the rest of the game.
Well,
That's
you're
it.
Keenan Allen.
I need to go in the blue tent. Yes, I'm Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen.
I'm going to go in the blue tent. Let's look at it. Let's move it around. Probably needs to sit the rest of this one out.
Well, if you're at your wedding, if you're ever looking around, you're like, man, I wonder where Blaine and David are.
That's for sure.
Check the ice cream
For
cart.
sure. Daddy needs his grundle.
All right, let's go to, we got any more?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what else? Oh, yeah, hold on. Let's see. Should South Carolina fans panic? This is something you want to
No, and I want to say this, okay? Did I have South Carolina going 2-6 in the SEC before the season? Yes. Did I have South Carolina going 5-7 or 6-6? Yes. Did I receive a bushel full of hate mail from South Carolina fans telling me how they're going to go 9-3 this year and that Spencer Rattler, I mean, that's Jordan Rodgers. Spencer Rattler's the second best quarterback to ever play football ever. All time. He's going to win the Heisman. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. You better beat Kentucky, all right? Because I don't know, Missouri doesn't look as horrible as what I thought after what they did against Georgia last week. Now, they played way above board, and they absolutely blew it against Auburn. But I may have overplayed my hand a little bit with South Carolina. It may be Vandy, and that's it if they don't beat Kentucky. But no, they shouldn't panic. The problem with South Carolina is personnel right now. I know Marcus Satterfield isn't Stephen Hawking when it comes to offense. I know that. But you don't have great players, and you're not good up front. You're not good on the offensive line. You're not good on the defensive line. Jaheim Bell's the dog at tight end. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'll give you a hint. If you're not good on the offensive line and you're not good on the defensive line, you're not going to win, especially in the SEC. That's just how it is. But he's going to get it fixed. Look at recruiting. Look what he can do in the portal. That's where Shane Beamer's going to pay dividends. So don't panic. Don't freak out. Don't want to fire all the coaches. If when they get the personnel in there, it still looks bad, then panic. But right now, you don't need to panic at the disco.
And keep the volleyball team off the field, right?
Yeah, keep the volleyball team off the field. Hashtag end racism.
That too. Last one, Georgia Southern is playing at Georgia State this weekend.
Ooh.
And look, I just have to say,
Uh-oh.
there's only one real GSU.
Wow.
There's only one real
Look in the camera and say
GSU.
that.
There's only
Yeah.
one real
Wow.
GSU.
And that is?
And that's Georgia Southern University.
The Statesboro
Okay.
boys.
Georgia State, their football team was founded in 2010.
Here we go.
2010.
Let me lock
How
in
many
over
national championships, Blaine, had Georgia Southern won before?
Irk Russell ain't coached no
How
Georgia
about a half
State.
dozen? Lock me in for a half dozen, please. There's only one GSU.
We're tagging
Georgia Southern
State and
football
socials
Eagles.
for this.
What'd the
For
man
sure.
just say? Irk Russell.
Yeah.
Who else? Paul Johnson, Greg Hill, Adrian Peterson. You guys know Adrian Peterson?
The other Adrian.
other Adrian
Yeah.
Peterson.
Yeah, I was going
You
to say.
think you
Hey,
know Adrian Peterson.
who you also don't want to get in front of,
Yeah.
okay, because you might get hurt.
Who also
The real AP.
did not get knocked out by Le'Veon Bell.
That is a fact.
The real AP.
That's
I
exactly
just
right.
thought I'd throw that out.
Let's go to the Booster Club. Then let's do a little MLB predictions
We
before
have
we
to.
get Luginbill
We have
on.
to.
Okay, hey, $9.99.
We are
from
rich forever.
The one they call the Draco.
Oh, pull it
The
out.
boy got the
Lizzie
flicky.
getting busy.
All right, he says the greatest podcast of all time, and it's not close. You're damn right, Draco.
Wow.
He said Cone for Heisman.
Yes, of course.
Only unless if I don't.
Heisman candidate.
Only unless I don't win it. He says Blaine, sorry, he put an E at my name. Strike one. Blaine, sorry. Yankees losing in the ALDS. Strike two. Jake, Braves will go back to back, and War Dam anyway. You fix everything just like that. When I thought you could,
There
fix
it
you
is.
come back and completely redeem.
Wow.
You come back and completely redeem yourself. And that is also a great segue. Like I said, you pull out the Draco, it ain't no mistake.
The
bro.
burner, baby.
Here we go. We got the bracket up here. The wild card series starts. Why do I say wild card series? Because this is the greatest baseball format in the playoffs we have ever had. The old play one game in the wild card, winner take all, loser go home was absolute trash. It immersed in a dumpster that was encompassed by a tank full of hot dog water. It's like the third time I've used that this week.
Yeah.
Let's start up in the top left.
nasty.
Rays versus Cleveland. All right, Star-Lord versus the Beach. I'm gonna go with Cleveland. The Rays, cool story. All right, but
Hansel and Gretel.
they've been struggling late. Remember, it's all about how you're playing. Who gets hot late? Just ask the Mets. Give me the Guardians. It's a great story. Nobody gave them a chance. What they did in the AL Central. I like the Guardians to actually win the first two in this. I don't think the Rays win a game here, and the Guardians move on. What do y'all think?
Blaine?
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Cleveland Indians in this.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cleveland Indians.
Did I say Guardians?
Yeah, you did. The Guardians of the Galaxy. No, give me the Indians.
You know what? Since they changed their name, I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
Good for you, David. I love
This
it.
is the clap
This
back
is
by
where we've
karma.
come.
Yeah, I love it.
That is all right. Let's go down. The Mariners and the Blue Jays. Look, guys, Mariners, first time in the playoffs since I believe 2001. Think about some of the players that the Mariners have had that they didn't make the playoffs with.
Thought about it.
Ichiro. I mean, that's one. That's a big one. But the Mariners, it's great for baseball that the Mariners are back. But I picked the Blue Jays to win the World Series before the season started. Fired their manager halfway through. A lot of people left him for dead.
You still on that?
I mean, dude, I picked them. I got to stick with it. They're there. I mean, they made it.
So not,
I'm gonna
not
say-
the Braves.
So I'm going to say I hope the Braves win the World Series, but I also hope the Blue Jays win the World Series. I can either be right or happy. Like I told you earlier, right?
True. I like that.
Okay, I'm kind of.
Well, you'd be happy on both.
I'd be happy on both. Yeah, it's just a mixture of happiness.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and rightness.
Yeah.
But the Blue Jays, give me the Blue Jays over the Mariners. Look, again, it's a cool story. J-Rod is unbelievable. He's must-see. He's coming back after a back injury. He's going to be able to play. But I love the youth movement and the former Major League Sun movement that the Blue Jays have with young Vladdy, young Biggio, young Bichette. I like the mound. I know I like the rotation. I think the Blue Jays win this one in 3. I think it does go to a third game. Would not be shocked if the Blue Jays lost tonight, then win the last 2.
I just have to see it from the Mariners first. You know, I used to pull for them when they had King Griffey Jr. and Alex
Jay
Rodriguez and the big
Edgar
unit.
Martinez.
I have to see that you are a winning culture. You know, until I see that, I don't know if I can just move you ahead in the bracket.
Well, you just got to hope they don't set up an autonomous zone in the middle of the.
Yeah, we don't
field.
want that. We don't want an autonomous zone.
No.
We want an autonomous zone around home plate.
Yes.
But you don't let the other team score.
There you go.
Those
what
damn
we need.
Decepticons. Give me Give me the Mariners. I'm rolling with the boys.
Yeah?
Welcome to the playoffs. Logan Gilbert, absolute witch on the mound.
Yeah. Pumping it.
Ty France, I mean, the kid's nasty.
Robbie Ray.
Give me the kids.
Robbie Ray.
I want the guys sitting at the kids' table at Thanksgiving. The take home the dub.
I will say, going back to Julio Rodriguez, the man is must-see TV. You talk about a five-tool guy.
That
Like, we
home
talk
run
about old
derby?
school, right? Guy that can do a little bit of everything. I mean, you saw him in the home run derby. He's not a huge guy either, but he was absolutely slapping the base.
First 2 rounds, 30 home runs.
In the home run. Yeah, he about wore himself out. I was tired watching him.
Yeah.
So it was
Never
pretty
forgive
impressive.
you.
All right, because we're not going to do the division series until we get teams there, okay? We're not going to do it until we get teams there. Blaine, we all know who you're picking in the ALDS, okay?
I just really wanted to. I thought we were going to go through this whole bracket,
there's
and I
some
really
Prozac.
wanted to
Let's
make
get
y'all
excited and
mad.
also
So
calm down.
now I
Hey,
all right.
But hold on one second before we leave the AL, because Papa Cone
Dude, that's
brought
pretty sick.
the set a gift here.
If you're
from
listening on
Fenway
audio,
Park.
explain it to
That's
him.
it.
Explain it
If
to
you're
him.
listening on audio, Papa Cone, my dad, went to Fenway Park, and he brought us a Red Sox plaque here to go. I think it'll hang behind Blaine over there in the baseball
I
section.
think it should hang right behind Blaine.
Fenway Park, Red Sox, Boston. I know what you're saying.
I know our guy Jeff back in the control room is
Jeff
absolutely
back
in
he's
love with
freaking
this
out right now, and I know what you're saying. I'm looking at the brackets, and I'm not seeing the Red Sox up there.
No,
But
I'm
that's-
not.
You know, that's fine. Look,
I'm not seeing a pair of socks up there at any point.
you know, when Dad was thinking about adding something to the set, he wasn't thinking, you know, well, who's gonna make the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
This is the way it turned out.
Look,
Yeah. No, we just added.
And he didn't go to Yankee
I
Stadium.
love it because it's a gift from your dad, and your dad's the best. But two, God, that's hideous.
What?
You like the Red Sox?
No, don't put it behind me because I mean I'll.
That's
flame
the
and drag
baseball
in that
area.
thing.
You'll just turn around and just.
I know, but you
burn
don't
it
really
down.
see it. I mean, there's a scoreboard over there. You don't
That's
see.
the baseball section.
Is this the baseball section?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's turn that into the
Yeah,
baseball.
you actually literally have a diagram of baseballs and gloves and.
Can you
bats
see that on
right
camera
behind.
though?
I'll tell you
Yeah,
what you could do. You
Okay,
could
so-
order a Jeter jersey, and you could just like hang
Yeah.
it. Over.
Yeah, they should. Y'all should order me a Jeter jersey. Let me get a probably a Clemens jersey too. Roger Clemens jersey. That'd be.
You want the
fire.
rocket?
Yeah, and then we'll put it behind me. I'll rock one. Look, I'm gonna rock something Yankees.
Wait, we're just putting orders in? Are we just
Huh?
putting orders in right now?
I mean,
Give me the old school Griffey
yeah,
while we're at it.
I like
Chipper
that.
Jones, Braves. Get
The
ready for
light blue. You gotta
playoffs.
go the light blues with Griffey.
Give me the
fire.
Padres camo jersey. I think
That's
it's
pretty fire.
absolutely flying.
Speaking of the Padres, there
yeah,
they
speaking of the Padres, we got the Mets. Padres, listen, I know the Padres got Soto. I know Tatis. Hey man, I got ringworm. Let me put some of this these steroids on it. Oops, it's not from the United States, but he also weighs like 165 pounds. So I don't believe he's on steroids. The Mets, they're pissed. The Braves absolutely hawked him down. Blame the tweet you had of DK Metcalf with the Braves logo.
That was
hawking
fun.
down Buda Baker, who had the Mets
That was
logo.
so true.
On that interception is very true. Remember, visuality can teach us everything. You have to see it to believe it, learn it to know it, and other things like that. Basically Dr. Seuss mixed with Confucius. But when you look at the Mets pitching staff, when you look at the bullpen, I know, again, you can go through the lineup. Watching them, I want to say this. Jeff McNeil, first time a Mets player's led the league in hitting. The dude chokes up on the bat all the way up to the barrel, yet still somehow has power and is able you can control it better by choking up, but he does have a ton of pop. Then you got guys like Brandon Nimmo. We already know about Lindor, the polar bear, but it's a pretty complete team. And then you have DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett. You got Ottavino in the bullpen, and obviously, let's play the trumpets and get Edwin Diaz in here to just freak out and throw it like 102 with a nasty little slider
Play the
that goes
trumpets?
back doors. Play that
Like
real
this?
quick. Play it real quick. I don't know how you don't.
I just feel like I'm running from a bull.
That's yeah. No, either that or there's like a chase scene that
Or that what's that movie with Ben Stiller when the mariachi band comes out and they won't
Along
quit
Came
playing?
Polly.
Yeah, and
Isn't that it? Or am I thinking of
something.
different?
Is it something about Mary?
That's not a. They're a mariachi band. I think one time.
Blonde-headed girl. I can't remember, but he's trying to break up where the mariachi band came out.
That's right. That's right. He's like.
Yeah. Hilarious.
All right, but give me the Mets to beat the Padres, guys.
Cone?
Hold on, I was looking up. Is it the Heartbreak Kid?
Heartbreak Kid. That's it.
There
Yep.
we go.
That's it.
The Mets aren't happy right now. The Mets aren't happy.
Okay.
I think they're going to do some damage in the postseason.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe beat the Padres. maybe
NLCS
even- let's go
I would
see-
love for them to
let's
beat the
even go
Padres
see-
and the Dodgers and then play the Braves and lose.
Man, the Braves really are in a pretty good spot right now.
They're on a good. Hey, can I say this though? Are we? I know we always talk about the Braves, but like the Dodgers won 111 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
That's a
The
lot.
whole
Like
baseball.
that's like the third. That's like
Cardinals scare.
The Mariners. I know, and with one of those teams you were talking about had an unbelievable run, and then the Yankees. I'm trying to remember what year. I don't think it was 2014. They both won more than 111 games, but that is a ton of games.
The
So give me
Cardinals
Mets.
scare me. That's
We all
what
like the
scares me.
Mets.
I like the
Oh,
Mets.
yeah, give me the
I like
Mets.
the Mets in
Yeah.
the
They beat
wild
the
card
Dodgers,
series.
too.
I got to go with the old heads for the Cardinals. I mean,
Yeah.
the Phillies just walked into the party first year in high school. They're nervous to go,
Yep.
do some of the things you do at the party, just walking around not talking a lot. Why do
A lot
the
of head
girls look
nods.
so much older than me?
All right, so here we go.
Stuff like that.
2001 Mariners won
Yes.
116 games.
Yes.
The 1906 Chicago Cubs
We all remember that.
Also
Crazy
won,
legs, Jim.
also won 116 games.
The
New
starting
York
catcher there was
Yankees-
also ran a bootleg
Did he?
operation. Yeah.
That's how they funded the team.
Yeah.
This is definitely-
The New York Yankees in 98.
98,
Michael
I
Knowles'
think
favorite team.
2014.
They won 114, and then this year's Dodgers team.
111. They just quietly. I've never seen a team quietly win 111 games.
Yeah.
Maybe because everybody's like, "Hey, the Dodgers are really good."
Yeah.
They're just really good. But speaking about really good, we're gonna get back to the Booster Club in a second. We're gonna bring in our friend from ESPN, college football analyst, knower and doer of many things. He's climbed Mount Everest. He created Element 115, and rumor has it he's about to break through and create time travel. Our buddy Tom Luginbill. Tom, congrats on all the success.
I know. Sometimes I forget about all my accomplishments. Thanks for reeling them off there.
Yeah, no problem. But unfortunately, nobody can still turn Georgia Tech around here lately. So we got time travel, we got Mount Everest, but we got to turn Georgia Tech around. Tom, I want to start. I'm going to hit the SEC first. Going to kind of span the globe a little bit with these guys. A game that I am having a hard time kind of in my mind seeing how it's going to go is Tennessee at LSU.
Yeah.
This is just a very interesting matchup. I know Tennessee is down Burrell, a guy who's been out for a while, but you look at that depth at corner. Brian Kelly came out and said that Jaden Daniels needs to be more aggressive down the field. He's thrown no interceptions, but you're not really getting a return on that investment because you're not taking chances down the field,
Right.
getting to that second progression. LSU at home in Death Valley, I don't care if it's early. Those students aren't going to go to sleep at night. They're probably going to walk straight from the bar to the game. They're going to be drinking Bloody Marys before the sun comes up and some other things as well. I just have a feeling this is going to be a high-scoring game. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's got the makings to potentially be that. You know, when I look at this type of offense that Tennessee runs, right, they want to spread the field. It's half-field reads, wide splits, get as many plays as you can. And it's a dangerous offense to prepare for because it's difficult to substitute, all right, unless the offense does, because it's going so fast, you can't always get the right personnel on the field. But what I've come to see over the course of time, particularly over the college football playoff or even the BCS years, is the one thing that can neutralize these types of offenses is a defensive front that can overwhelm you and is disruptive and can get you off track. And that's the strength of LSU's defense. I mean, they returned virtually their entire two deep from last year's squad, and they have got guys that can really turn it loose. And sometimes when that happens to an offense that wants to run 90, 95 plays, you get off schedule. Instead of staying ahead of the chains on offense, you're a little bit behind the chains, and now you have to slow down. And you have to kind of regroup, and you got to make sure that you can protect and that you can run block and that you kind of get out of your comfort zone of going 100 miles an hour. And disruptive defensive fronts can do that to these style of offenses. When you get that at home and you know what that crowd's like there, I think the crowd can become a factor. If LSU is not able to have success with their defensive front, then yes, I could see this being a high-scoring game because I just think Tennessee's not a very good tackling team. They give up a lot of explosive plays. And, you know, to Brian Kelly's point with Jaden Daniels, when you watched his first 3 years at Arizona State, his freshman year was by far his best year. Then he started to regress. He also started to get very, very careless with the football, which led to turnovers. And I'm not so sure he's not sitting back now and a little bit gun shy saying, hey, all I got to do is not screw this up. Well, that's true to some degree, but you've got weapons that can get you explosives of 20-plus yards. You're at LSU for crying out loud. Let's push the ball downfield a little bit and let your guys make a play. It doesn't have to be a perfect throw all the time, but let your guys make a play because I don't think that LSU can just dink and dunk, all right, and keep pace or get into a track meet style game the way Tennessee wants to if Jaden Daniels doesn't start taking some chances.
No, I'm with you. And you know, too, as well, when you look at LSU and you look at guys like Butte and Malik Neighbors and some of the aliens they have running around, I know you do have two freshman offensive tackles that you're playing who are going to be studs. Will Campbell is going to be a star there at the left tackle.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's not like LSU has to run 4 verts every play. You just have to have the defense thinking that at any point in time you will take a vertical shot. And the thing that surprised me most is it's not even saying, all right, hey, we're going to get a post, we're going to run Poco, or we're going to run post wheel. You're going to see the safety either take the post or throw the wheel. But he hasn't thrown it deep when the play's broken down either. You know, it hadn't been something where he's scrambled out of the pocket, stopped, there's Boutte streaking across the field, and you launch it. He's been a little bit nervous with the ball when the play's broken down, which I think has hurt him a lot. One of the few ways Auburn's actually been able to move the ball, especially last week against LSU, was taking shots down the field when the play broke down. Second thing, Tennessee, Auburn, and look, the defensive coordinators know this. This isn't some huge surprise, but I think Auburn kind of gave a little bit of a pathway for how to control Jaden Daniels in the pocket. You keep contained. You don't rush by him, because a lot of pass rushers, those ends think, hey, it's a fast guy. I got to get there quick. Instead of working up, working back inside, and when he comes down, you close like an accordion. Now it's 2nd and 11. You may not sack him for the 5-yard loss, but he's not going to take off and get it in 2nd and 4 as long as he doesn't break contain and you close up the middle there when he breaks through. I think that's a key point as well.
Yeah, you got to rush to the level of the quarterback, not past the level of the quarterback. When you rush past the level of the quarterback, they give you what we call the front door. And if it's open, Jaden Daniels is going to take it, right? So we've got to get to the level of the quarterback, and then you've got to get push in his face from your 2 tackle spots. And if you get to the level quarterback and then you convert speed to power and you start to, close the walls in, now you leave very little place for him to go. And I think that's really important. You mentioned the ability to break, contain, and then keep your eyes downfield and find a shot, find a guy. That's what guys like Drake May at North Carolina, Jordan Travis at Florida State have been so good at this year. And I think Jaden Daniels has lost some opportunities because when he takes off to run, his eyes go down and he's running. I mean, that's what he's doing. And so if he can get those eyes up and he does break contain, maybe there's an opportunity for somebody to break loose and you toss one up and make a play for 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, and real quick, Mississippi State hosting Arkansas. Arkansas is coming off of 2 very physical games. We've talked about the attrition on defense a little bit, especially in the back end. They looked really slow against Alabama whenever Alabama would break the first level, or they tried to run man early in that game and be able to load the box and stop the run a little bit. Not a great remedy when you go play a Mississippi State team that's going to do nothing but run mesh, shallow cross, give you a ton of stuff out of the air raid, modified runs, even though Mike Leach has leaned a little bit more on the run game. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer than what people think, because Mississippi State, believe it or not, does struggle to stop the run a little bit, and with KJ Jefferson and those guys. But I find it hard to believe that with the way Mississippi State's playing, after the way they played against LSU where they dropped passes and dropped the punt, I think Arkansas could be staring 0-3 down the barrel to start the SEC.
I totally agree with you. I think Mississippi State's one of the most underrated teams in college football. I think they're dangerous at any given time. And outside of probably LSU at night, that's the most difficult stadium I've ever broadcasted a game in. When you get backed up into that closed end zone with the cowbells, you can't hear yourself breathe. And I think field position plays a big role in that. You've got to get them behind the chains when they're backed up inside their own 30, 25 maybe, and that play starts rocking, and it is difficult to communicate. Then next thing you know, you have procedure penalties, you have communication issues. It's really tough to contend with. And that stadium, that team at Mississippi State feeds on that. And if we're going to assume, and I think it's fair to, that Mississippi State's going to score points. And it's kind of like the LSU-Tennessee game that we referenced. If this thing turns into a track meet, who benefits? Mississippi State does.
For sure.
Because that's kind of what they are offensively. And I just think Will Rogers is so good, like so accurate. And if Arkansas chooses to play a bunch of man concepts, they're going to be in trouble. I mean, they really are. I still think the formula, whether you're playing Mississippi State at home or on the road, the formula to beat Mississippi State on defense is dare them to run it. Give them a 3-man front. Give them a 5-man or a low-number box. Drop 7 or 8. Don't give up explosive plays. Make them throw it underneath and come up and tackle them. And that's essentially what LSU did. And I think that if you take that approach, you put so much pressure on Mike Leach to do something he doesn't want to do, and that's hand the ball off. And force him to do it. Force him to actually hand the ball off, and I think it could be a recipe for success.
Yeah, and Conan puts pressure on Will Rogers. Will wants to be out there just slinging the thing, not just running.
He will do that. And he will do that. All right, Tom, here we go. Number 11, Utah, at number 18, UCLA. Now, Utah is one Cam Rising goal line mistake away at Florida from beating them on the road and being 5-0. They're 4-1 right now, but they go into UCLA, who is 5-0, with a very impressive win over a good Washington team. Do you think Utah can go in and get the win here, or has Chip Kelly finally recreated a semblance of that Oregon program he had back in the past?
Well, one thing we don't have to worry about is a daunting crowd in the Rose Bowl. I don't think Utah is going to be worried about
it's sad.
any noise
Tom,
issues.
there's a big poetry slam going on during the game, so I don't think a lot of people are going to be there.
Yeah, I don't think Utah's been blaring music all week at practice to prepare for the environment.
They've been playing flute.
Yeah, I had Utah 2 weeks ago. I think they're a really, really good football team. And the reason why is because of how they're built. They're different than everybody else in the Pac-12 in the sense that they're about physicality, whooping you, being the bully in the bull yard or in the play yard. They're going to run the football at you. They're super efficient on offense. I do have some concerns about Brant Keithy being out. He was such an integral part of their 12 and 13 personnel, 1, 2, and 3 tight end sets. That, what type of impact will that have on play calling for Andy Ludwig, their offensive coordinator? But I look at both of these teams and how they're playing right now. And if you watch that Washington game for UCLA, that score looked close late. That game was never close. And the thing that UCLA is doing a great job of is, number one, DTR is staying healthy. That's really been the issue of his career. All right. He has not turned the ball over in 4 games through the air. All right, so they're not making mistakes. So what does that tell you about these two teams? It may not be about which team makes the most plays or plays the best football. I think it's going to be the team that makes the fewest errors. Who does something that's uncharacteristic to their nature? What if Cam Rising goes out there and has a 3-turnover day? He doesn't do that, but that could be the difference. What if DTR does the same thing? What if Zach Charbonnet fumbles? What if UCLA gives up a punt return for a touchdown? Or fumbles on the 2-yard line going in and Utah recovers it. Those types of plays that start to add up. And let's just say you have a 75 to 80 play game and there's 3 or 4 plays like that. That's the way I think this game will go.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, if I asked you before the season what the biggest game in the Big 12 would be the second Saturday of October, you would probably tell me the Red River Shootout. And yet here we go, a top 25 matchup with TCU at Kansas. It's been a great story on both sides right now. But can one of these teams actually win the Big 12, Tom?
I don't think so. I really don't. I still think both of these teams haven't quite got to the meat of their schedule yet. I still think Baylor's a problem. Oklahoma State's a real problem, in my opinion. We're seeing Oklahoma reeling right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happened with Texas when Ewers back. Do they elevate? Do they continue that trend that looked so positive in the early going of the Alabama game? The reason why I say I don't think so is the bottom line is both these teams are playing really, really good, but neither of these two teams are the most talented teams in the league. And I think at the end of the year, at the end of the day, as attrition starts to mount up and you have some injuries, you start to get tired, your depth starts to get depleted a little bit, that would affect a TCU and a Kansas maybe more so than it would affect some of the other talented teams in the conference. But just as we say, with this great game, there's so few opportunities. It's not a 73-game schedule or a 29-game schedule. Any given Saturday, anything can happen. And if you catch a team at the right time and you're playing your best and they don't take you, seriously, then could you find yourself late in the season having a shot to go to the Big 12 title game? Maybe. I just don't know if the talent is there for the long haul for both of these teams.
Yeah.
Leipold Aranda 2024. Get your votes in now.
All right, Lugs, we're going to go straight to Leo Maltos with a $4.99 donation. He wants to pay us to ask you a question. All right, hashtag Ask Tom.
That's a great gig.
Yeah, I know. Any advice for the first
$4.90?
Yeah.
99
in this
cents.
economy.
Hold on, in this economy.
We have something for that. Hold on.
Okay.
There
So
we
3 years
go.
ago, that's
It's $248.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. This is a Wendy's. All right, hashtag Ask Tom. He says, any advice for our first-time college head coaches? He says, wishing Jim Leonard the best luck up in Wisconsin.
Be yourself. I think that's the thing. You got to be authentic. You got to be genuine. Kids know it. They feel it. They sense it. They can see through it when you're not. And I think that you also have to maybe change things up a little bit. Maybe you change the practice schedule up to do a little something that you thought, if you're Jim Leonard, that needed to be done that wasn't being done. I don't think you make drastic changes or drastic shifts, but put your stamp on a few things. I think oftentimes when you have moves like this, and I think this was a move that was completely unnecessary at this point. I mean, the guy's won 75% of his games, but whether it's at Arizona State or at Wisconsin right now, there's usually a reason why this has happened, right? Maybe there's a lack of accountability in the building. Maybe practice habits aren't what they should be. So there will be things that those coaches have identified that they think are important that maybe weren't addressed to the level that they would have addressed it had they been in charge. And that would be my advice: is be genuine, be authentic. And if there's some things that you feel really, really important about that this team wasn't doing to your level of expectation, those are the areas you focus on.
Love it. I need to write that down just in case they give me a call. And
well, and you must have a dance contest at the end of your first
yeah.
practice.
Stomp the yard 4. All right, let's go. EB55
yard
said, what would Illinois need to do in order to take the next step and maybe compete for a Big Ten championship?
Well, if they're targeting and kind of in the same recruiting pool with guys that are going to Iowa or Wisconsin or maybe a Purdue, maybe an Iowa State, okay? Those guys have all proven that they can compete for a conference championship. I just don't think it's the type of program that is going to be able to do it year in and year out because they're a developmental program. More than likely, they're not going to be a program that's going to go out and get play right away guys. They might get, they got a defensive end right now that's a hell of a player. He's a true freshman. He's going to be a great player, but they don't have 10 of them, right? So you're going to develop and redshirt and bring along the vast majority of your roster. And then all of a sudden, you have one of those years where you start looking down the two deep. I used to do this with Michigan State all the time, and Mark D'Antonio was there. Start looking down the two deep, and you see a lot of R's next to JR and SR, meaning redshirt junior and redshirt senior. And now all of a sudden you're throwing out a 10-win season and you're competing in the conference. And then those guys kind of all depart at the same time and you take a little step back. It's kind of the nature of those types of programs. So I think they can. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I've been to just about every place in the country. I would put Illinois' brand new football operations center up against anybody's in the country. Anyone's. Now they got things to do, with the stadium enhancements and things of that nature, but they can compete facilities wise right now. I think recruiting is tough because it's a difficult state. It's not like you have a bunch of homegrown talent all over the place. And if you do, they've generally gone to other places. But there's no question Brett Bielema has done a remarkable job and it can be done there.
Yeah, a lot more people play basketball than football in that state.
Right.
Tom, we appreciate it, man. I think it's a great answer. You talk about a guy that does that a little bit. Look at Pat Fitzgerald in Northwestern. They'll win 3 games, then 6 games, then they'll win 9 games. Like Pat Fitzgerald, the greatest coach ever, of all time ever. But at Northwestern, that new stadium they're building looks absolutely elite. It's the perfect size for them. That's a lot of smart people with a lot of smart money. Yeah, I guarantee you there's no lawsuits they lose when that thing gets built. You can go that or they don't get any bad journalism stories written about them. But Tom, we appreciate it, my friend. As usual, excited to see you next week. And as always, the background is absolutely on point right now.
You bet, boys. We'll see you later.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
if you want to watch the rest of this, remember you can listen if you want to stay here. But head over to the Daily Wire Plus. Become a member. Listen with your ears and your mind on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends and your family, which I hope are your friends as well. We'll be right back. You decided to return. The best decision you've made today. It's not even 9 o'clock. Cone, we have the Colts and the Broncos tonight, but I do want to say, and we're gonna have we're gonna talk a little more NFL tomorrow. The Eagles, undefeated, coming back, winning in multiple ways. Just want to throw some love to Jalen Hurts and the Nick Sirianni and all the guys over there. You know what? Part of me thinks it has to do with it, and it's just a little thing. But there's sometimes little things that bring your team together even more. You remember when Jalen Hurts got clocked by the Jets going out of bounds in the preseason? And they just squatted up, and the head coach is just squatting up? I feel like that does something to you as a team, though. when you come, like, it's one thing to go play, but it's another. I got a good vibe from the Eagles right now. A lot of Bama, a lot of Georgia.
It's a great start.
High IQ play. Like, who'd have thought? Take players from the 2 best teams typically in college, and you have one of the best NFL teams.
Dude, I mean,
genius, next level thinking.
The fact that Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis are on the same team,
Not fair.
Is the scariest thing ever.
Not fair. It's like playing Pokemon Stadium.
It's like, dude, can you imagine looking at Fletcher Cox?
Yeah.
Hey, we stopped.
Hey, downside hut, it's second down.
Yeah, it's second down.
Down. Yeah. Giants. Giants.
It'd be the worst, man. The absolute worst. And then there's N'Kobe Dean.
Yeah.
There's Slade Jr.
Somebody's out there telling you
Yeah.
what play you're about to run.
Yeah, there's like Gyarados playing D end and some guy they found underground. Like, it's ridiculous.
All right, let's get into the Colts-Broncos game and what should just be an absolutely thrilling game that I know everybody's on pins and needles waiting to see. But it's football, guys. We complained Tuesday when there was nothing but baseball. We complained
That game yesterday was SMU's the bad news bear.
First off,
Oh, yeah.
The worst team I've ever seen.
No.
The worst team I've
not
ever
the
seen.
worst team
I've
you've
never
ever
seen a team
No.
lose a game more than what they did.
I thought, can I go ahead and say this? Yesterday, you know there's times when you bet, you know, and you just get your guts ripped out. Like when it's a bad beat. But there are also times,
On the other
you know what they
side.
say, God giveth, God taketh away, okay? He gave it
He
last
gave it,
night.
man.
I had UCF, you know what? Let's wait before we break. Let's go Colts-Broncos first, and then
That's
when I
my
get
fault.
to Boris,
That's my fault.
Hey, that's
yeah.
okay.
I'm super
That's
excited
okay.
to talk about this,
I was so
and I've got to
mad
read
watching
this letter to read. Anyways,
Yes.
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Colts-Broncos.
You don't know the truth.
I'm going to drop my bets in a second. I will say, if you look, I was a little worried about taking the under because Shaq Leonard is out, the captain for the Colts, guy at linebacker. You know, you look at the Broncos. Was it the sexiest thing on offense last week? No. Did they figure out a couple things?
No.
You lose Javonte Williams. But you do have backs that are capable. I mean, Melvin Gordon, he's got to stop fumbling. I don't think it'd be crazy to take Melvin Gordon as an anytime touchdown scorer either tonight, but he does have to stop fumbling. I think the Broncos, and I know Surtain, he's going to follow Pittman Jr. around. Watch out for guys like Paris Campbell and guys like that tonight, the tight ends for the Colts. But it just feels like a low-scoring game against two teams that are just, meh. But the craziest part about this whole thing, the Colts has the highest paid offensive line.
Really?
The highest paid offensive line. Quentin Nelson is regarded as the best guard in football. If you look at the stats right now, the Colts have the worst offensive line in the NFL, and Quentin Nelson does not register in the top 18 guards in the NFL.
Wow.
And Jonathan Taylor's out. Pittman Jr. is a really good wide receiver. But if the offensive line's not cooking for the Colts, that's their whole game. You can talk about the play calling and Frank Reich and all that stuff, but the fact that the Colts are struggling on the offensive line is one of the biggest surprises
They were
of the
a
NFL
preseason
season.
top 10 offensive line.
Yep.
They were number 10.
Yep.
So yeah, that is surprising. Right now, the line is Broncos -3.5 at home, and the over/under is 42. Yeah, I kind of like the under too. I mean, I know we're going to get into the bets, but man, it's just both the starting running backs are out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
Williams
I don't
and
know what's been
Johnson.
a bigger letdown so far this year, Matt Ryan or Russell Wilson.
Well, you know, again, if the offensive line, if you can't run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, Matt Ryan is I know Russell's not the biggest runner of all time, but Matt Ryan cannot survive if you don't have a run game.
But the thought of Matt Ryan can come in and still have some serviceable years left for the
Can he be
Colts
good
was
enough?
all under the assumption that they were going to have the 10th best offensive line,
right.
and Jonathan Taylor was going to have what 1,800 maybe all
Consensus number one fantasy pick.
An easy pick. That was the assumption. So exactly, Jake's exactly right. When you take that away, what's Matt Ryan going to do for you?
Yeah, what's he gonna do,
Go out
run
there
for
and
it?
Kyler Murray it?
Yeah,
You know? I
that's
mean,
not his get
I
bag.
think the
baby.
expectations were obviously higher for Russell Wilson with the big money that they paid him coming over into a new environment and an environment with weapons. That's what we're talking about.
That's
Look at what
it.
Cortland
It's true.
Sutton can do. You got Jerry Jeudy, and even now, I mean, it sounds like Williams is out for the year, right?
Yeah, Williams
Towards
definitely, I think
ACL,
it was ACL and
the-
MCL.
And
I
the
believe.
MCL, yeah.
Yeah. Blaine, how do you feel like the Broncos play tonight? How do you think Russell plays tonight?
Mid. I think this is just going to be a mid football.
Subway mid? Or?
Yeah, no, well, Subway's not mid.
Jersey Mike's mid.
These hands are E for everybody.
Well, guess what? I can't wait to play
These
that game.
hands are E. There's a lot of things you tell me about, but Jersey Mike's is the farthest thing from mid. Let's be
Just
honest.
these.
Jimmy John's is mid, and so is Mama Goldberg's. But anyways, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It gets to the point now. Do I play Michael Pittman Jr. or not? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Watch Matt Ryan throw it to Alex Pierce And Mo Alley Cox when he gets in the red zone.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Pittman's a true #1 receiver.
Didn't-
Get him the ball.
Well, Patrick Surtain's going to be like, there he is.
Yeah, I know. Is Surtain playing?
Yeah.
I thought he was hurt.
No.
See, I'm
He's
on it.
playing, I believe. I will say, Mo Alley Cox, unless I'm mistaken, was a basketball player at VCU.
Yeah, look at him.
That's right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
He's 100% basketball
He
player.
doesn't catch balls. He just dunks it.
He's huge.
Yeah, he's a giant.
Like, he's huge.
Alex Pearson playing really well, too.
He has. They have some sneaky weapons there, for the Colts. But again, I mean, it feels like this is one of those games where you're going to get run, 3rd and 4,
Like, obvious.
boots, run the pick play.
Yeah.
Like, it's just everything.
You could, like,
gonna happen.
as a fan, you could probably sit on your couch, put a pretend headset on, and pretend the call plays, and probably be 80%
Probably be
right.
close to right.
Yeah.
If anything past 3rd and 8, it's a screen.
Yeah. Or a check down. That's all it is.
It's a screen. That's exactly right. Speaking of fantasy, though, tonight we do. Obviously, me and you are playing each other. Who are you playing again, Blaine?
I'm playing the Sweet Baby Gang.
Sweet Baby Gang. Is
Yeah.
anybody going tonight? Well, the Ravens aren't playing, so probably not.
No, he has the entire Ravens football team. Well, I have Michael Pittman Jr.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm debating on whether or not to play him. Keenan Allen, I don't know if Keenan Allen's going to play. I think he's going to miss his 4th straight week on a hamstring. I regret drafting you. You're letting everybody down, but I'm not surprised. I don't know what to do. I got Michael Pittman Jr. I have Chris
Who else
Godwin
you got
on my
on the
bench. I have Chris Godwin. I have Devontae Smith on my bench.
I mean, you got to play Devontae Smith.
I mean, y'all said that. I mean, people said that last time. Devontae got 4 points. Chris Godwin got 15. So it's
Well, then
the
turn the
same
ball.
thing. It just I don't know. I have to look at who the Eagles are playing this week.
Well, remember the weather that the Eagles played in last week?
True.
It was nasty.
True,
Had a
but guys,
crosswind.
I guess it's the falsehood of how good Michael Pittman Jr. played last year. Maybe it's a thing. It's a different quarterback situation now. I mean, Matt Ryan and Alex Pierce are kind of like the scene off Avatar where they put the two ponytails
Yeah, a little bit,
together
but
and they're
everybody was
meshing.
scared to death of Jonathan Taylor last year and would
True,
really sell
true.
out for the run. And Michael Pittman, outside of having to play the best DB on the other team, was literally in one-on-one most of
It's
the
so hard.
Also, Eagles are at the Cardinals.
At the Cardinals. Cardinals defense
Ooh.
really not
Not good, and you're on
not that
turf.
Great. Okay. All right. I like that. But it's so hard for me to like. I don't know. Maybe it's just the human element of me. Like if I have a
You're
guy
human?
who plays on a Thursday night, I just want to play him. You know, I want to watch like what my bets and have a fantasy guy to cheer for on Thursday.
Get out to an early lead.
Yeah, I just like doing that, right?
Who-
So maybe it's just me.
I've got Cortland Sutton playing tonight. That's
got
the only
Cortland
one.
Sutton
I don't
playing.
think you have any.
My biggest question is Kyle Pitts right now. You know, I know the narrative in the offseason was, well, he doesn't catch a lot of touchdowns. They're not utilizing him in the game plan. And I'm thinking, well, Kyle Pitts is still an elite tight end. You know, really a wide receiver. You
Yeah,
know,
it's true. He's a Y.
Old school Jimmy Graham.
He's a
type.
Y.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a really good player. And I didn't think that the Falcons were going to be as bad as everyone said. Maybe in their win-loss record, but not on the offensive side of the ball. I thought Marcus Mariota could come in and do some good things. And guess what? I was right about that.
They're
part.
2-2.
I was right about that part. The offense is looking really good. My problem is not only are they not getting Kyle Pitts the ball, he's not even on the field on 1st and 5 from the goal line.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're not even on the field, how
be a
can I
decoy.
justify playing you in fantasy? Especially now that Drake London has started to get bracketed a little more. He started to get double teamed. This is a perfect opportunity. This is why Calvin Ridley caught 8 touchdowns as a rookie for the Falcons, because everyone was bracketing Julio Jones.
That's exactly right.
Why can't you get Kyle Pitts involved in the game plan? I don't understand.
Sometimes,
Second
you
year
know,
in a
like
row.
you got to just do the Chewbacca defense from South Park. You don't make sense.
As a guy who had Kyle Pitts last year, it doesn't make sense. That's why I didn't draft him this year.
I will
Yeah,
say,
and you told me that. You
in
told me that
reality,
all offseason.
the Falcons should be 3-1. They
Yeah,
blew that
no,
late. They
they
blew
should
that
be.
16-point lead late in the game against the Saints. They should legitimately be 3-1, and we should be
They
talking about
should be.
Arthur Smith. Is the
Do they not want Bryce Young? Do they not want Bryce
They
Young?
went and got Desmond Ritter.
that move was the most interesting move.
It
to
was
me.
weird. It
Marcus
was really
Mariota
weird.
that can run a little bit better.
It was really weird.
But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm gonna read this.
You
Yesterday,
have some reading to do.
yesterday, we asked what our pet peeves was.
You said your
Biggest pet
fiancé.
peeve. No, that's not. Let me finish this. And I said that when people ask me questions during games that are in the room or want to show me pictures of dogs and horses, and people instantly assumed, which we all know what assuming does, that I was talking about my fiance Reed, because obviously I watch most of the games from the house, and she's the only one that lives with me outside of our animals. They were wrong. So I prepared a letter, really more of a statement, that I'd like to read now to nullify anything that I said yesterday and clear up some things. Here we go. To Reed and the world. Yesterday, I said that one of my biggest pet peeves was when people show me pictures during games or are distracting while I try to absorb everything going on during a game. It frazzles me and throws me off my game. Now, while making this point, I use the example of someone, not a particular person, but someone trying to show me a dog and a horse picture when it's like 3rd and 9 and a crucial point in the game. All right? Now, you would assume that I meant my fiance Reed, as she deals with horses and we both love dogs and have them. But nay, insert horse joke, she is actually super chill during games and typically makes delicious foods and goodies like chili, barbecue chicken, great dips, and cheeses, crackers and stuff. I definitely wasn't talking about her, regardless of how Conan Blaine or anybody else tries to spin it. Okay? Let's throw that out there. Reed will ask me questions every now and then, but she knows what's up. As my comments yesterday were taken out of context, let me rephrase. I don't go to the games because of people asking me questions. And my boys who watch the game with me know not to turn it into an episode of 21 Questions or Jeopardy. And to those questioning why I'm doing this, a wise man once said, and it may have been yesterday, it's better to be happy than to be right. So there we go.
So we're throwing Hail Marys on Thursday.
Look, I mean, look, the clock may be running out. I'm
it's
pulling App State.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
Touchdown.
Pulling App State down 2. Let's take a shot. Bobble scored touchdown. Let's just not lose to James Madison the next week.
I like
What's
it.
going on in the Booster Club as I walk over the board?
Okay, a couple things here. One, I don't think I did, but if I missed someone's donation from earlier, I apologize.
You're disgusting.
That's my fault.
You know what?
Yeah. I
Just
don't
in
know if I
case.
did.
Just in case, we'll do this.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't know if I did, but let's go to a couple more donations. All right. We have WDE33, which stands for War Damn Eagle, a $9.90 99 donation. He says, let's be honest, gentlemen. He said, I can't hold your secret any longer. The future AU hires will be AD, Shapiro.
Yes.
OC, me.
Yes.
DC, Jake. HC, David.
What?
Sorry to spill the beans. The message boards have me really jazzed up.
Dude, you can't tell anybody that. Can't tell anybody that. I will also be coaching the special teams as well.
Well, I'll tell you this. The team's eating Mama Goldberg's every night.
No, they're not.
Sign me up.
No,
It'll
we're
make
not.
us better.
No, we're
you know
not.
what?
We're
If I'm the
going
head
to
coach
Moe's
too,
and we're
No.
getting some barbecue.
If I'm the
baby.
head
barbecue
coach,
wings.
if I'm the head coach wherever my team is, whether we're in Auburn, whether we're in Lincoln, Nebraska, whether we're in Baton Rouge, we're eating food that was grown in the city. I want peppers that
Eat
came out of
local.
the earth of the campus town. I mean, of the
local.
college town. That's what I want. What else, Blaine?
Let's go to Tyrese.
Tyrese, great actor.
Tell whoever's running the show over there at Daily Wire to make a dang Crane & Co. koozie ASAP. Hashtag dogs by 90.
Y'all hear that? Crane & Co.
Crane
koozie.
and Co.
The people have
koozie.
spoken.
That's
Okay,
it.
and-
That's some good alliteration there.
All right, guys. Christian Judy
Jerry's brother?
with a $100 donation.
Stop it.
Stop.
$100?
$100, Christian. Thank you so much.
Or $100?
Said follow the Daily Wire since it began and watch Ben every single day for years. Now I miss Ben every once in a while, but I haven't missed an episode of Crane & Co. in months.
Come on.
My God.
Thank you for the fantastic content from your wizard factory. Thank you.
There it is. You know what? Hold on. Hold
Who
on.
was that?
We're doing
Christian
a booster club
Judy.
first. Hold on. We're
Christian
doing a
Judy.
booster club first. Give me the name. Give me his name. What is it? Give me his name.
Christian Judy. I don't know if that's a guy or not.
Christian Judy. All right,
Yeah.
here's what we're going to do. We're just going to write this. $100 donation. Get your name on the board. I'm going to try and spell this right.
Christian Judy.
Yep. Spelled like Jerry Judy? Christian Judy, there it is. $100 donation. Name is on the board of eternal life and
Wow.
love. We appreciate it,
You
my
just
friend.
started a
And we're
movement.
just getting started, believe me. We're
You
not
just
even,
started a
we're not even in
movement.
the pregame of the pregame yet. We're still setting up the pong table,
I know.
getting the drinks poured, and getting the music right.
And I'm
What
trying
else,
to-
B?
Let's go to Emmanuel C. Says, I picked Josh Allen in the first round, and he is doing wonders for me. Congrats. Not a smart move, to be honest. You never take a quarterback in the first
For
round.
example, I got Derrick Henry.
What
I
if
got
he's
Kyler
winning?
Murray in
This
this.
is
If
not,
he's
it's not
winning-
the right thing to do.
No,
If
I
he's
got
winning-
Kyler in the 7th, right? I got Kyler in the 7th.
Yeah, it's not the right thing to do.
I know it's not, but if he's winning,
Hey, can I say something else, too? Travis Kelce is my second overall pick, so, you know.
He's-
I
he's
took
really
a lot of
good.
heat for talking about taking the tight end early. Okay.
No.
You said take a tight end
No,
first
no,
round.
don't.
You
don't.
said take a
first
tight end
round.
Look,
first
don't
round.
confuse this with
I'm
the
not.
facts.
Just-
Don't confuse everybody with the
Can
facts.
you pull up slide 37?
All right, one more. Let's get to bets.
Blaine, are you taking the Cowboys over the Rams? How can I say this? No, I'm not doing that.
I don't know. Hashtag rush hour?
Where's it at? That's
Still
the
rush
big thing.
hour?
Fraley Ginger Gang says, so 4 MLB playoff teams don't have to play till Tuesday. Hush Hush Voices carry, while the other 8 start play tomorrow.
Yes.
Congratulations on winning your division. Cards and Indians. Your reward is demotion to the wild card round. And oh, by the way, the other 2 divisions winners get a week off and home field advantage.
Look, guess what? Play better, dog. Play better. Sorry that we're going 78-33 and on pace to win 114 games. And we're younger. I mean, it's like the Baby Geniuses movie going on to the Braves right now. Michael Harris running around in a diaper, making plays in center field and hitting home runs the other way. God, I love it.
Sweet baby.
We talk about the Braves for 3 hours.
Wes C, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Fantasy questions.
Yes.
Naheem Hines or M. Sanders my flex. Sanders, my guy? Sanders, my guy. Come on now.
Well, here's the question. Here's the thing, though. I feel like the Colts are going to take Naheem Hines out when they get to the goal line. Like, he's going to be in there. They're going to use him out of the backfield. I'm telling you right now. Huh?
Who's the other back for the Colts?
They signed Latavius Murray.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, to me, it's weird with Naheem Hines. I know they got other guys on the roster.
Nice.
See, that's why I'm sitting there looking at the tight ends like, man, like I just seen little modified runs. You're struggling to run the ball anyway. Paris Campbell, I think he's like over under receiving yards is like 20.
I just don't like when we talk about receivers and tight ends and we don't talk about Michael Pittman Jr. Let's talk about Michael Pittman Jr.
Actually, you know what? Right now, you may not want to talk about Michael Pittman Jr. You don't want the reverse jinx. All right, Blaine, one more quick. It's gotta be quick.
Jake's khaki says every sub shot becomes mid at some point. They all suck. That's cap. Khakis are mid. Especially short khakis.
Yeah, I don't wear it since my name's Jake. I stopped wearing khakis.
Yeah, look, long khakis, I don't mind. If you're at a church or you're going to doing something like that, it's fine. But short khakis, like, dog, I don't want to see your knees.
I mean, he's right about one thing. I still don't understand the downfall of Quiznos. I don't understand it.
Whoa.
I don't understand it. The downfall of Quiznos.
The downfall of Quiznos.
When's the last time you've seen
I think it's the downfall of humanity, not Quiznos.
Yeah, that's when society started
they suffered because of it.
True.
Going away.
Quiznos, I don't know if it's still there, but
thousands of years, when they're teaching, whatever advanced form of human there is, they're going to talk about how the downfall of society started the minute Quiznos and Blockbuster stopped being relevant. Those 2 things together.
Is Redbox still a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walk outside, dog. What do you mean?
There's not any outside.
There's literally 19 by my house.
There's
I mean, it's a ton of red boxes. It's basically like watching an episode of Black Mirror. There's so many red boxes. But here's what we got tonight. It's football, so I'm betting football. You best believe that. All right, and there's really no baseball because playoffs start tomorrow.
True.
I do like the new format, though. I get the complaint. All right, if you're the Guardians and if you're the Cardinals, I get it a little bit. But, it's like I said earlier, how about you play better and then don't cry about it? To the victors go the spoils. All right, give me the Broncos tonight, -2.5. All right, no Shaq Leonard. You're playing at home. You haven't played great. The Colts are struggling on the offensive line. You got Surtain to put on Michael Pittman Jr. I think you're physical enough up front, even though the Raiders kind of had their way with you. But the Raiders were 0-3, backs against the wall. They had to do something at home. I think the Broncos answer. Give me -2.5. That's going off at -$1.41. Then I really went back and forth on whether I wanted to take the under at 40.5 for plus money, but part of me thinks when 2 teams that have struggled on offense play each other, you typically take the over, as crazy as that sounds, but I decided to buy it up a little bit. 12-6 on the month, up in units, feeling good. What happened last night in the UCF-SMU game, which we're going to talk about in a second, I'm super jacked and excited about. Give me the under at 44. That's -$1.50. Are we playing it a little bit safe tonight? Yeah, a little bit safe. But you know what? We're 44-29 against the spread in college football in the NFL. The units are up like a brand new apartment building. We're feeling good about a lot of things, David.
Look, I'm going to take Colts +6.5, not because I believe in the Colts so much, but they are still an NFL team, and the Broncos haven't given me confidence that even at home, they can be 6.5 points better than most of the teams in the league. And then I'm going to take Cortland Sutton, anytime touchdown scorer at +145 because I'm playing against him in fantasy.
Hedging your emotions.
I figure if Jake's going to be happy tonight with Cortland Sutton catching a touchdown, I might as well put a check in the old book.
God, who wears the straight jacket?
Straight jacket. On the line.
I can't wait for that, guys.
It's gonna be good. I'll just get my one that I used to wear growing up when they would send me that camp.
So you already have one.
We don't talk about
it.
Okay, I can make a joke right now. It would be hilarious, but I can't do it. Let me hold on. Let me go ahead and zone in through Jake's head. Give me the under at 46 -192. I mean, the Broncos and Colts, no Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we'll see, but I'm sure they'll find a way to screw me on that one. And give me Russell Wilson over 1.5 touchdown passes. Hey, you know what? I feel maybe one to Sutton. Maybe one of those things, hey, we're play action. Oh, no, we're rolling out, we're under pressure, and somehow someone gets open in the back of the end zone.
Tyler, yeah.
So we'll see. Come on, Russell. Come on, Broncos country. Let's ride.
Let's ride. All right, Baby Cone. He wants Matt Ryan over 1.5 touchdown passes at plus 135 and the under 42 at minus 110. Let's keep it going, guys. Let's keep it going. Been a good month so far. We're doing pretty well. Pretty excited about everybody. Pretty excited about the future for everybody as well. Proud of you guys. There's some really cool shoes, Cone. By the way, last night, UCF, SMU. I had the over. I bought it down to 59. All right, you had it at what?
58.5.
You had it at what? 57.5?
50, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
57.5.
57.5. I had it at 59. I had UCF -3. I got UCF -3 for plus money. That's the reason I took that last night. And guess what? It was a tale of two halves. UCF looked like a totally different team in the second half. It's nice to watch a team make adjustments. Auburn, sorry. So last night, the score is 41 to 13. 41 to 13, which is a total of 54 points. That's some quick math there for you guys. Appreciate that, Miss Bray, who taught me how to do that super quick math in my head. I'm watching the game. SMU is already done. They got their backup quarterback in, but the starting wide receiver's in. Everybody else, the starter, driving. There's a minute 30 to go. UCF punts it. I'm like, all right, UCF, I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to hit my plus money bet. Not a bad day at the office. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch. I got to let Millie outside before I take her upstairs, stuff like that. So I'm starting to get ready, kind of for bed and everything. And all of a sudden, you see SMU hit a play. And they hit another play. The clock's rolling. They got 3 timeouts. They're not taking any of them. It's under 20 seconds, and they got the ball at like the 10. All right, they run a play. Something happens. They're down at like the 4. Time is winding down. There's at 5 seconds when they call a timeout. All right, for some reason, SMU calls a timeout. Down 41 to 13. They just run inside zone or lead zone. I can't remember which one they ran. With 5 seconds to go. They actually put time back on the clock to make it 5 seconds. Dude gets stuck. I'm like, come on, man, I could have stole one there. Backup quarterback calls timeout. UCF starts walking on the field. They think the game's over. The ref says, but nay, the game is not over. There's one play. This is important for a lot of people out there. 1 second to go, guys. 1 second to go. And I'm trying to remember the backup quarterback's name for SMU. I think his name's Preston Brown. Preston, I want to tell you something. I'm impressed with the Preston. Okay? He takes little RPO, takes it and dives in, jumps in, gives up his body for the team and for the over. He hits it, no extra point. So the game ends at 41 to 19. Do the math. That's 60. Sometimes you get rewarded. If you treat people right, if you stop for turtles who are on the road and you help them get off, and you're nice to animals and old people and young people too, and people in the middle, good things happen to you.
And which
means I'm going to get my guts ripped out tonight. I know what's happening. I know what's going to happen. Denver will win by 2, and they'll score combined 45 points.
What did you had? You had 59.5?
59. Straight up.
59.
Straight up.
Gotcha. Good.
Yeah, what a terrible game by SMU. I'm watching this game.
You had a plus 7.5, right?
First of all, you watched this first quarter, second quarter.
They should have jumped them.
SMU was just as good as a team as UCF is. All right, Plumlee.
They were
Plumlee might as well had no arms out there in the back quarterback. He couldn't throw anything close, and that's Jake Plumlee. That's why he was a receiver at Ole Miss. And then
John Reese Plummer.
John Reese Plumlee,
Yeah.
whatever.
Thinking of Jake Plummer.
Was there a Jake Plumlee play basketball at Duke?
You're thinking of Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee. But then, I've never seen so many receivers drop passes that were touchdowns. Running back dropped one. That's a touchdown.
Running back one was tough.
If I saw one more time when it was 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2 that SMU would just drop back and close their eyes and throw it deep, I was losing my mind. Because it's not, and Rhett's a great coach. Rhett's been on the show. He's a great play caller. But, man, sometimes in this game, you can't just go for it all the time, all right? You have to slowly, methodically work your way down the field. And they were doing that in the first quarter. And then they just try to get everything back at once. And that's when you look up and you're down 30 on the scoreboard because your defense can't compete with an up-tempo offense, right? You have to take it slow sometimes and a little chunk yardage here. And don't run the same 4th down call you did 2 drives before.
I want to say this, too. Whoever Auburn hires after Brian Harsin, you need to go get Travis Williams as your defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Travis.
He has totally changed who UCF is defensively. They're top 10 in basically every category. They're giving up 13 points a game. I mean, you really gave up 13 to SMU. Travis Williams continues to be a guy that's going to skyrocket. He needs to get a big-time DC job. He needs to come back home to Auburn, go get Hugh Freeze, let Travis Williams be the DC. He can also recruit as good as anybody in the country. I'm very, very impressed with watching UCF. Yeah, so he played in 2000 on the 2004 undefeated team at linebacker. Was a hell of a player. Was on Malzahn's staff, obviously had worked his way up, went with Malzahn to UCF. I think he'd come home, Auburn would pay him as DC. Hell of a recruiter. The guy knows what he's doing. Just seeing how organized UCF is on defense, watching them, they don't blow coverages. They tackle well in space. The DBs make plays on balls. They don't quit. There were a couple. SMU had a touchdown. The guy kept fighting Patriot style, knocked the ball out. They just do little things right. They don't get penalized a ton. And, man, they're good in the red zone. Man, they're good.
Maybe he didn't get the memo, though, but Auburn has a new DC. My boy Jake Crane is a defensive coordinator. From what I heard from the
we're gonna co-DC it. Actually, you know, I'd do it for half, but we'll go out there and the first thing we're doing is recruiting.
How about we do it for double?
I don't want to look at a whiteboard. Yeah. I don't want to look at an install thing. We got to go get the players.
Because somehow I'm gonna have to figure out a way to explain to Darby Lou how I got to be a coach on the Auburn
staff. Wait, she's gonna be like, wait. You're the head coach at Auburn?
Be like, yeah, because I moved the hashtag I'll do it for half movement to the hashtag I'll do it for double, and we're making money now. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, hold on, I just bought a house to put on our house.
All right, a couple things real quick. Let's go to Emmanuel C. When DraftKings says to score a touchdown for a QB, does that mean the QB runs it in?
Runs it in.
Or they pass for a touchdown?
Runs it in. Passing touchdown.
Anytime touchdown for any player, if that's a quarterback, that's a run-in.
That's a run-in.
So if it's...
Because, I believe, too, if you take the anytime touchdown, it can't be a passing touchdown by another player. So like a reverse pass or like a toss pass or something like that. It has to be run in or caught while you're in or
yes, you'll have a player prop.
Yes.
For the quarterback to passing.
We need to do an episode 2 explaining the bets too.
Let's do it.
We need to do an
episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2 because we did the first episode like the elementary school of betting and people loved it.
Oh, which is a better horse? All right.
Which is a better what?
Horse. A colt or a bronco?
Oh, man. I'm going to say a bronco.
Darby and Reed would be disappointed.
Yeah, I wish I could phone a friend right now.
Yeah. Well, then I'll go Colt.
Okay.
If Reed's in the chat, can she answer for me?
I have not seen her in the chat.
I'll say, well, guess what? She's going to call right after the show. To say I love you and I appreciate you and I wasn't talking about you yesterday.
And listen to my letter.
Yeah, listen to my letter. I would say give me Bronco, 57%.
Okay, I'll just go Colt because
Broncos, 70%.
Love to start the morning with a dub.
Colts are 30%. Young, right?
Colts are young, right? Not broken.
Yeah.
I think it's a Bronco though. I thought a Bronco was like as crazy as it sounds, like a cowboy or like a person too.
Colleen Houston says Broncos because they had their own event at rodeos.
Okay, that makes sense. There's some facts behind that. We all got a little smarter. All right, appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Snapagram, Twitter, other places as well.
Snapagram.
Make sure you check us out. We appreciate y'all. Turn that notification bell on. Got a great show for you tomorrow. We got great football all weekend, college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball playoffs are starting tomorrow. College basketball is right around the corner. It's a great time, Bob. Good catch, Cone. And like the chances of the Mets winning the NL East in 2022. Y'all know what time it is. We're going. Gone.